friends, Addie here, and today's question is, can you share your talent? My talent is singing. I'm going to be singing driver's license.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to another epic video on Awesome Kids TV! Yay! And we are back in another new world in Buildcraft, and today we are making the actual Fantasy Time Bay dimension. A lot of you are probably like, why on earth are you making a fantasy-themed dimension? Well, the reason why is because, I think it's such a splendid and royal idea that I decided to do this, and that is why I am actually freaking do this, and I am very much using medieval-looking blocks. Dark oak looks very medieval enough. We are going to be making a very tall and medieval looking dark oak tree. So there is going to be that. We are going to get to that in a moment. But for right now, we gotta go to this very dimension. This is how you make a nether portal, if you don't know. I really don't have to share a lot of information with you guys, but honestly, I think this adventure is going to be really cool. And we had made and we have completed making all 5 of the main shorts from 2022. They're the main focus of the AKT 2022 Christmas special from 2022. A very AKT Christmas. Yes! And the reason why I'm talking faster than usual is because I just want to talk really fast. So we can get through this. And I did see Ren Link's Apocalypse Food Taste Test video. That's right, if we can make it through the pandemic, we can make it through the apocalypse. After like 25 years. Yes, 25 years. 25 years of later, 25 years of this world later, and it comes to an end. That's how the apocalypse works. There have been a couple of movies made about the apocalypse. I know. And if you guys love movies about the far future, then you will definitely love some animated story time. When Rebecca Parab and her sister were a lot younger, they had a standard issue local bully kid who would occasionally bully them for fun and stuff like that. And the bully kid was named Jocko. Now, Jocko wasn't your average bully kid. Oops. No. He was more like... Jocko isn't like... John isn't your average bully. Like the big thundering monsters that you stay away from at all costs. Like a canker sister or a flats, the flounder. No. He was more like Buford from Face of Herb. He's still a bully, but he sometimes would get invited over to their little adventures, and in one episode he would get invited to a game of baseball sometimes. Yeah, he was a very weird character for sure, that Buford. He's a very weird character, for sure, in my opinion. And I'm sure Rebecca Parham agrees with me big time on that one. 'Cause, oh boy, you guys are agreeing a lot with me too. So you guys know the story of that one time where Jocko and Rachel and her sister Rebecca Parham were playing in the backyard when he popped a spot of poop in the backyard and made fertilizer out of it, and then for some reason let his freaking dog eat it. Or the one where he found a lighter, or the story where Jocko found a lighter in their backyard and wanted to make a campfire with them and pointed the lighter at Rebecca and Rachel Parham and freaking lit the thing while their mom was doing dishes. And she saw that through the kitchen window and ran out screaming at them. Well, some of you might have forgotten the baseball incident story, the tree incident story. Some of you probably have forgotten all about that too. When Rebecca Parham and Rachel Parham were a lot younger, they were playing baseball in their backyard with the neighborhood kids. Big surprise over there, obviously. Rebecca Parham was pitching. Rachel Parham was batting. She tossed her the ball. She hit it. It veered off it to the right and crashed right through their parents' bedroom window. Yes, their parents' actual bedroom window. And everyone in that backyard except Rachel hit the deck. And their parents came racing outside to find Rachel Parham just standing there with bat in hand, absolutely flustered. Yeah, she was pretty terrified ever since that happened. Both of their parents were freaking mad, but their flippin' mother told her to go and get her piggy bank because she was gonna pay for it. But their father jumped in and said, "Hey, it was an accident. Every kid gets to break only one window with a baseball." Yeah, that was their father for ya. And he, of course, never forgot what it was like to be a child, and so he wanted them to have the most fulfilling childhood, including all the classic mistakes like breaking a window with a baseball. And then there's that story about Rebecca Parham hurting his little brother David. When Rebecca Parham was about 9 at the time, and probably should have known better, she would pass time in their backyard by taking an old fence post, laying it over the side of their used garden beds, and jumping on the other end of it, launching an array of different materials into the flippin' air. Rocks, grass, pebbles, sticks, anything. That was what they did before they had the internet, kids. That was before the internet came out back in 1989. One day, Rebecca Parham wanted to launch a ball off her makeshift catapult, but you guessed it, you freaking guessed it, there was a problem, and the problem was the ball would roll off automatically whenever it was closed. The ball would roll off automatically before she could quickly launch it. Physics. Who knew? I knew about physics. Anyway. In order to complete her little experiment, she needed an assistant, and so she called upon her little brother David by shouting, "Oh, David!" Rebecca Parham's little brother David Parham was about 3 at the time, and naturally was very sensible to suggestions, which worked out perfectly for Rebecca Parham, not so perfectly for him at all. She told him on the count of 3 that he was going to quickly put the ball on the catapult before it rolled off so that she can quickly launch it. Simple enough, wouldn't you say? Well, when Rebecca Parham counted to 3 to commence their little experiment, David Parham did something a little unforeseen. He leaned down directly on the fence post to very carefully place the ball. And by the time Rebecca Parham looked over and saw her little brother David Parham doing that, it was freaking too late, and her entire weight came down and the fence post smacked him right in the flippin' face. And Rebecca Parham naturally was all like, "Well, I'm dead. Time to save up for my Teddy Ruxpin." And little old David was screaming at the top of his lungs, and then he ran inside to Mom and Dad, who, let's face it, were not absolutely happy at all. David's whole face swelled up, and there was a freaking scar that might have been an inch away from his eye. And he still has a scar there to this freaking day. He still has a scar there to this freaking day. And Rebecca Parham got into a lot of trouble, and their parents yelled at her that she could have blinded him, even though it was a freaking accident and he wasn't supposed to put his face all over the flipping catapult. But Rebecca Parham felt very bad. Oh, so bad, in fact, that she even felt bad years later into adulthood when her parents would bring up this story. But in 2017, she animated the whole thing, and it held no more power over her whatsoever anymore. Animation is her antidepressant, if you guys are catching my drift right now. And if you thought that was crazy, then you better hold on to your buckles. It's going to get crazier with James's stories. So James grew up in a generation where smartphones were a new thing, right? And everyone in his class had one except for him, right? Well, the reason for not getting a cell phone is because his parents were super strict, and they didn't really want him to freaking access the internet on a flippin' device, pocket-sized device that could fit in his pocket, because they were super strict and didn't want him looking at internet stuff, which, by the way, backfired incredibly horribly. So they never gave him a smartphone until he was 16 years old. And now that he's an adult who uses a cell phone literally every day, he has no idea how he would survive for literally 16 flippin' years without one. Because if he was in a situation where he needed to borrow a phone, he would just ask the nearest person if he could borrow their phone. And if you haven't given your child a freaking cell phone yet, then take it from a flippin' guy with no flippin' children. You should definitely get them one. It doesn't have to be a smartphone. You could just give them your standard drug phone, which, by the way, was the phone Dwayne and Jasmine had, by the way. And after he completed his very first sophomore year of high school, he got his very first cell phone, an LG Cosmos 2. That is correct, the LG Cosmos 2, number 2. Now, James didn't grow up in the 90s that everyone else had iPhones, and he was the only one with a phone that had a keyboard on it. And with that cell phone, obviously, he had gotten into a couple of incidences where a random person would call him thinking he was someone else and absolutely would not admit they're wrong. And that, at the time, was how you would segue into a monthly video from James. The first incident happened at Suabue, and the guy at the on top of the line was in need of gas for some reason. Yes, gas. He needed that badly for some reason. And naturally, the call went on and on until the guy got the sandwich he wanted. That's all I can remember from the whole entire story, unfortunately. Speaking of that, this next story takes place at James's home, literally at 9:30 in the morning. And he was lying in his bed asleep. And most people would agree that you're supposed to be awake and productive at 9:30. And at the time, James didn't want to let this stranger think he was lazy. And so he had to answer the phone with his best "I've been awake for several hours" voice. And so he prepares, and he is all like, "Hello?" And the woman on the phone was all like, "You're going to have to come quickly. Timmy fell down the well, Vance." And James was all like, what? And the woman on the phone said, "I said you're going to have to come quickly because Timmy fell down the well, Vance." Now James could tell it was a woman on the phone, but it was either her accent or the phone being buggy or that he had just woken up. But he could not understand anything that flippin' woman was freaking saying. And he could only make out about one word, which was Vance. So, he did not have a lot to go off of. And so he was all like, "I think you have the wrong number." And they were all like, "Okay, talk to you later. No, you gotta come you gotta come quickly because Timmy fell down the beep." And then that person called again, and James was all like, "Okay, maybe this person is calling again, even though I explicitly told her she had the wrong number. Maybe it's not a wrong number after all, maybe there's something else going on. Maybe it's an emergency, so maybe, talk to me. And then the woman on the phone was all like, Vance. And James was all like, okay, I cannot understand anything you're saying. And then the woman passed the phone to her friend, and a different voice started talking, and James could actually understand her, and he will never forget what she said to him, which was, Vance, no one thinks that you're funny. And even though he was not Vance, at the time that kinda hurt. So James naturally stated the obvious, which was, yes, I am, and I'm also not Vance. And the woman goes, no, Lance. So this whole time, those two have been looking for a Lance. And James told this woman, I'm not Lance either. And she goes, well, this is the number they gave me. Alright, if she had said it like, oh, I'm sorry, this is the number they gave me. I didn't mean to call you, stranger. Oh, also, I do think you're funny and enjoy your videos. Then that would have been okay. She's just shipping the blame to somebody else. I mean, she is literally a fan of the All What's Out YouTube channel created by James himself, who was identified as a stranger. And yet Doomsday comes in 25 years, and that is when World War III really ramps up. And that is why I am going to get the dream job I have always wanted. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said before, without the past, there is no future. Anyway, this is what the crystal bright tree is going to look like. The crystal bright tree house. Get it? Because it's a tree house. And it's controlled by a crystal light thingy. Don't you get it? Okay. Kira Mom's conversation has gone in the way again. I probably should go and tell them I was trying to make a video, but their conversation was in the way. But anyway, those were my favorite stories from Rebecca Parham's YouTube channel, Let Me Explain Studios, and James's YouTube channel, The All Wants Out, and I have given them a lot of time in this video, so shout outs to y'all. Anyway, this is what our crystal bright tree house is looking like. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Now I gotta do some more work on this place. Later.